Hey, welcome back to our channel, and today we are talking about the pros and cons of living in North Fort Myers, Florida. And so what I'm going to do first off is start out showing you where exactly North Fort Myers is, because many of you may not be super familiar with Southwest Florida. So we're going to take a look at the map, show you where everything is, give you some details and information about North Fort Myers and many of the things happening, what there is to do, stuff like that. And then we're going to dive into the pros and cons of living here in North Fort Myers. So first off, we're going to start by looking at a map and show you kind of where exactly it is that we're talking about. So obviously here's a map of Florida, and we're going to zoom in here. And as you can see, we are on the Gulf Coast here, kind of way down at the, I want to say way down at the southern tip, but actually the southern tip comes much further down to Everglades National Park. But as far south, pretty close to as far south as you get, basically you got Naples and Marco Island at the furthest southern point where there is any real population and everything. But up here is Fort Myers and Cape Coral. North Fort Myers is this area here, basically a little bit west of 41, right on the edge of Cape Coral. So it borders Cape Coral. It's to the east of Cape Coral and just across the Caloosahatchee River from Fort Myers. And then all of this area up here is all part of Punta Gorda, technically, even though most of it's kind of no man's land. So North Fort Myers is here. Well, this is actually part of Cape Coral, but this area here, Shell Factory, is in North Fort Myers and comes down here, Lockmore Waterway Estates, and then out here to Alva. And so as you can see, most of North Fort Myers is fairly rural. There is some more concentrated stuff here around 41. All right, so now that you know where we are, let's talk a little bit about North Fort Myers. Population, roughly 42 to 43,000. It is one of the county's most diverse communities, featuring urban commercial centers and residential areas, as well as some suburban neighborhoods and commercial corridors. And like I said in the map, tons of rural agricultural land. North Fort Myers' cost of living is about 3% lower than the national average. So it is a little bit more affordable than the national average, and also considered quite a bit more affordable than a lot of the rest of Southwest Florida. In fact, it is the #1 place in all of Lee County with the lowest cost of living. It's also ranked as number 53 in terms of lowest cost of living in Florida in the entire state, and also considered number 95 according to niche.com in terms of best places to retire in Florida. Now, for those that don't know, Southwest Florida is, well, Florida in general has some fantastic nesting spots for the American bald eagle. Southwest Florida has one of those, and North Fort Myers is the home to one of the most famous nesting spots. In fact, many of you may have seen it already online. You can check out the Southwest Florida Eagle Cam in North Fort Myers, and if you want to, like I said, it's in North Fort Myers. You can go and visit in person. So cool little spot. You can go. There's almost always people out there watching the eagles, checking things out, taking photographs. So really interesting in terms of cool places to visit, check out. Another one that's really interesting to me, 𝑦𝒂𝒄𝒆 Bonsai, which is Florida's premier bonsai nursery and garden. They're open 7 days a week. It's really a cross between a nursery and an art museum. Really cool looking spot. They've got a gift shop where you can purchase supplies. You can purchase it. They are a nursery. They do sell these bonsais, but they also do a lot of really cool displays and stuff like that. So that's an interesting place to check out as well. Another nice little spot is the North Shore Park. The low-key little park area on the river, featuring picnic pavilions and a pier if you're a fisherman. It is also home to the Edison Sailing Center, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to teaching kids how to sail. Always cool driving over the bridge and seeing all the sailboats out there on the river. They all launch right there from North Shore Park, and they've got all kinds of sailing classes and everything. Super affordable and cool, fun thing to do. And then we've got is North Fort Myers staple, have to mention it, the Shell Factory and Nature Park. Really cool, unique spot. They've got all kinds of outdoor family fun stuff, as well as over 400 animals in the nature park. They've got a petting zoo, zip line, mini golf. There's a couple restaurants there on site, nice little bar and lounge, and a huge gift shop. So if you're looking for cool things, if you like to visit and take stuff back to friends and family, this is one of the biggest gift shops you're going to find with all kinds of cool Southwest Florida stuff to take home. Now we're going to dive into the pros and cons. So thanks for sticking around. I know this is the stuff that everybody's looking for. So what are the pros to living in North Fort Myers? Well, number one, we've touched on it a little bit earlier, lower cost of living. North Fort Myers is one of the more affordable places to live in all of Florida, as well as in Southwest Florida. So if you're looking for a more budget-friendly location, especially with, I know recently, I mean, even North Fort Myers has gotten more expensive significantly, but still it is one of the lowest cost places in Southwest Florida for sure. Natural beauty and outdoor activities. Because there's a lot of rural land, there also is a lot of nature, natural beauty, and outdoor activities along with that. So tons of greenery, you've got the river, of course, beautiful parks all up and down the area, all along the river. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Plenty of opportunity for outdoor activities, boating, fishing, hiking, horseback riding, bird watching. Proximity to the Caloosahatchee River and numerous nature reserves offer plenty of opportunities for nature enthusiasts. Being that it's a little bit more rural, another nice thing is its proximity to Fort Myers. So being a little bit closer to a little bit bigger city. So quick and easy access. I mean, pretty much anywhere in North Fort Myers, you can get into the downtown Fort Myers area, the River District and all of that within 15 to maybe 30 minutes at the most. So super close, easy access, which gives you, even though you don't have all the stuff right there in North Fort Myers, like medical facilities and all that stuff, not as much shopping and dining and cultural activities and that sort of thing. But when you want to go do it, it's right there in Fort Myers. So super easy access to that stuff when you want it without having to be surrounded by the congestion and everything that comes along with living near those things. Now, one of the other pros to living in North Fort Myers, and you might think I'm a little crazy with this, but it means you're further away from Southwest Florida's beautiful beaches. Now, how is that a pro? Many of you might ask, considering that many people relocating to Florida and Southwest Florida in general are doing it to be near the beaches. Well, not everybody is moving to Southwest Florida to be by the beaches. Like I said, tons of equestrian opportunity here in North Fort Myers in Southwest Florida. So that's a super popular activity and a huge reason. Farming as well, people that want to have hobby farms, have livestock, things like that. There's a lot of opportunity for that in North Fort Myers. But proximity to being further away from the beaches, the benefits to that are, one, you don't have quite as high a risk of issues with hurricanes. Being further inland, typically once the storms make landfall, they die down a little bit before they make it all the way into North Fort Myers. So you don't typically get as much damage. You don't typically have as high of wind speeds. They can still be very severe. I mean, we stayed and watched the wind blow all around us for Hurricane Ian a couple of years ago. So we've experienced that. We've lived through it, and it was pretty crazy, but not nearly as crazy as if we were out on Fort Myers Beach. That's for sure. We definitely wouldn't have stayed if we had been there. So being a little bit further inland can be a significant pro to many people because of that. You want the warm weather, but you don't want all of the traffic and congestion that goes along with being in the city, in Fort Myers, near the beaches, all of that. You want to be able to live, enjoy your life, get around, do your things, not have to deal with traffic, not have to deal with tourists and all that. North Fort Myers may be the spot where you get that warm weather, the sunshine all year, but you don't have to deal with all of the craziness that sometimes can come along with living near the beach. Next up is the small town feel. North Fort Myers definitely has that small town feel. Much more relaxed, laid back, just super close-knit environment, and not so much of, like I said, that hustle and bustle of the bigger cities. It is a great place to retire because of that. Also, most of the neighborhoods are not gated, so you avoid a lot of the HOA fees, as well as some of the crazy restrictions that they might put on some of those gated communities. And like I said, it's more rural, so lots of acreage property available if that's what you're looking for. Now for the cons of living in North Fort Myers. Yes, of course, we will say there is still, as we talked about a minute ago, still the risk of hurricane. There can still be severe damage in North Fort Myers, especially in the lower lying areas right along the river and that sort of thing. Storm surge can push water up the river and cause significant flooding, as we've seen over the years. But lots of opportunity, and it is a little bit lower risk than if you are right on the beaches. There is virtually zero public transportation. So if you are looking for a place that has public transportation, if you're not interested in driving, North Fort Myers is probably not the spot for you. There's also very limited walkability, so you pretty much are driving just about anywhere. That's just the nature of it. However, a lot of the more rural areas, you don't have to drive your car. You can drive your four-wheeler, you can drive your side-by-side, you can take your lifted, jacked up golf cart if that's what you want to do, if that's your thing. All of those things you can use to run around, get back and forth from friends and family's houses and stuff like that. You know, a little bit different than what you're going to experience in most of the rest of Southwest Florida. Limited nightlife and cultural activities. Basically, the things that I told you of the amenities, the places to go that we talked about earlier, that's pretty much it. There's not a ton to do in North Fort Myers. There's some cool stuff, there's some fun stuff, but most of your nightlife and cultural activities and that sort of thing is going to be in Fort Myers. Up in Sarasota, down in Naples, you're going to be driving a little bit to get to those things. There are limited healthcare, dining, shopping, and entertainment options, just like we just mentioned, and not quite as many job opportunities because most of the bigger businesses, bigger companies, if you're going to need a job and a place to work, most of those you're going to have to drive to as well. So that's going to be really the cons, is more limited amenities and things like that. Whether it means that you now are interested in North Fort Myers, or maybe you're not interested in North Fort Myers because of these things, check out our other videos. We've got pros and cons of really all of the different cities and towns and areas up and down Southwest Florida, and let us know if you think we missed anything.